There are two special points on any graph, not just for a linear equation, although we're going to talk about finding them for a linear equation right now. But there are two special kinds of points on a graph that we're going to find especially interesting for every kind of function we discuss. We can talk about a y-intercept. In fact, we've used that term repeatedly. It's a point where the graph touches the y-axis. And remember that on the y-axis, x equals 0. And so that's how we're going to find our y-intercept. If the information we're given consists of a table of values, to find a y-intercept, we're just going to find a pair where the input value is 0. And if the information we're given consists of an equation, well then to find the y-intercept from an equation, we're going to plug in x equals 0 and solve for y. So the y-intercept, obviously looking at a graph to see where the graph touches the y-axis, we just look and see where does the graph touch the y-axis. In a table, we look for a row where x is 0. In an equation, we plug in x equals 0. So we've talked about the y-intercept in passing before. That's the intercept in the slope-intercept form. There is also an x-intercept, which is a place where the graph touches the x-axis. Now on the y-axis, the value of x is 0. On the x-axis, of course, y is 0. Now y equals 0 is not a special value when we write down linear equations. So we will often need to do more work to find these points. On a graph, we just look at where we cross the x-axis. In a table, we want to find a row in the table where y is 0. And if we're given an equation, we'll just plug in y equals 0 and solve for x. Now, sometimes we can forget which is which. When we're looking for the y-intercept, the interesting number is a value of y. X is 0, we want to know the value of y for the y-intercept. For the x-intercept, the interesting number is a value of x. Y is 0, we want to know a value of x. Okay, so let's see how this works. Here we have a linear equation in two variables. And we're asked to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the graph of this equation. So for the x-intercept, we're going to plug in y equals 0. And so we'll have 0 equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. We want to find the value of x. We want to get x by itself. I'm going to rewrite this to have the x on the left side. Negative 2/3 x plus 4 equals 0. Now I'll subtract 4 on both sides. This is a two-step equation. We'll have negative 2/3 x equals negative 4. We'll divide both sides by negative 2/3. Actually doing that arithmetic on the calculator. And we'll get x equals positive 6. So our x-intercept then is the point where x is 6 and y is 0. So it's the point 6, 0. For our y-intercept, we want to plug in x is 0. So we'll have y equals negative 2/3 times 0 plus 4. And this is much easier, right? This is already solved for y. We just need to work out the arithmetic on the right. And that arithmetic is easy because we have something times 0 is 0 plus 4. So y is just 4. At our y-intercept then, we have x is 0 y is 4. And so our y-intercept is the point 0, 4. And of course, this equation was given in slope-intercept form. This number is the slope, and this number is the intercept. And so just looking at this form, we can see the y-intercept. We wouldn't have needed to do any calculation. Looking at this form, we can see that the y-intercept is the intercept. We can find the y-intercept by looking at the b in y is mx plus b. In this next example, our equation is not given in slope-intercept form. So again, we're asked to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. For our x-intercept, we'll set y equal to 0. And so our equation is 3x minus 2 times 0 is 12. 2 times 0 is just 0. So we have 3x minus 0 is just 3x. We'll divide both sides by 3, and we'll get x is 4. So at our x-intercept, y is 0 and x is 4. This is the point 4, 0. For our y-intercept, we'll set x to be 0. So we'll have 3 times 0 minus 2y is 12. 3 times 0 is just 0. And so we're just left with minus 2y is 12. Divide both sides by negative 2. And we get y is negative 6. At our y-intercept, we have x is 0, y is negative 6. So our y-intercept is the point 0, negative 6. And notice that that gives us two solutions to this equation. If we want to graph this equation, we have all the information we need. We know that the point 4, 0 is on this line, and the point 0, negative 6 is on this line. So we can just draw the straight line that goes through those 2 points. And that's the graph of our equation.